Hi, my name is Michelle, and I am your Booklegger volunteer for this month. I'm going to be telling you about the books that are in your backpacks. There's a really good selection in there, and I think you're really going to like them. Before I start, I want to remind you, don't forget that when you read a book, you should make a check on the clipboard so that we can keep track of which books the kids really like from the backpacks. So I want to start by telling you about this book. This book is called 8 Class Pets plus 1 Squirrel divided by 1 Dog equals Chaos. This is a chapter book by Vivian Vandevelde, and I really liked it. When I first picked it up and started reading it, it made me think of my pet dog, because sometimes I like to imagine what she would say if she could talk to me. Like, I'll give her dinner, and she looks up at me, and I say, "You're welcome," because in my head I think she's saying thank you for giving her dinner. Well, in this book, this is all about a mischievous squirrel who gets lost inside of a school after hours, and all the different class pets inside the school, and he gets into all kinds of trouble with them. So I'm going to read just the first chapter for you because it's going to give you a little peek of what this is going to be like. There's also some really fun pictures. There's not a lot of pictures because it's a chapter book, but there's some pictures. So this is Twitch, who's a squirrel who lives in the schoolyard, who's telling the story at first. Being a squirrel is the best thing in the world. The next best thing in the world is living where I live, which is near school. School is where humans send their young to learn things. I don't know why. Squirrel mothers teach their own young. These are the things my squirrel mother taught me. How to climb, how to land when I jump or fall, how to find food, how to bury food, how to find food after I've buried it, how to look cute enough that humans will give me food so I don't have to find it, bury it, or find it again, how to get along with animals that don't eat squirrels. Not eating squirrels is something I admire in those I meet. How to get away from animals that do eat squirrels. These are all the valuable lessons for a squirrel. I'm not sure why humans can't teach their own young. A few of the children are all right at climbing, but most aren't good at finding food, and they are hopeless at burying food. A squirrel mother teaches her young all they need to know by the end of summer, but human children spend 5 years in school. 5 years is long enough for a squirrel to grow very, very old, so it's a good thing we're faster learners. And the humans aren't even truly finished in 5 years. I have heard them talking, and I know. Before they go to school, they go to kindergarten. And after they leave school, they will go to some place that's called middle school. And after that, they will go to high school. I haven't seen any of these other places. I have no idea what kindergarten is. But by their names, I'm guessing middle school is halfway up and high school must be at the top of the tree. I suppose that's the only way the humans will ever teach some of those young ones to climb. But school and the yards around it are a good place to live. It's fun to climb up the school building and to play on the playground equipment when the children aren't using it. There are also trees for climbing, and some of them are nut trees and some of them are fruit trees. That's 2 of my big interests rolled into one, climbing and eating. And the people who live here love squirrels. They're always buying toys and exercise equipment for us, and they set up these things up around a feeder to make sure we notice them. It's a mini playground with a snack bar in the middle. Some of the toys are up for twirling on, and there are ropes to shinny up and climb down, and balance beams to walk across. Sometimes, to make things extra challenging for our benefit, the ropes and poles are greased to make them slippery. Whee! It's very considerate of people to give us these jungle gyms so we don't become fat and lazy, like, for example, the groundhog. That's just the first couple of pages of this book, so you can see it's told from the point of view of the squirrel, like the squirrel is talking to you. And then each chapter is a different animal. There's a dog, a rabbit, a turtle, some fish, a hamster, a parrot, and they're all telling the story from their perspective. So this is a really fun book that I really recommend. The next book that is in your backpack is Bugs, Bugs, Bugs. This is a nonfiction book. So some of you might remember the difference between fiction and nonfiction. This book that I just told you about the animals that talk, is fiction. Animals can't really talk. It's a pretend made-up story that entertains us. A nonfiction book is a book that teaches us something, and it's filled with facts and information. So this book teaches us all about bugs. For example, here's an interesting fact that I learned when I read this book. Did you know that dragonflies are actually older than dinosaurs? That's something I never knew. So there's all kinds of facts about bugs in here. There's lots of really good photos up close. You know, bugs are so tiny, it's hard to see them sometimes. But this book has some really great up close photos of bugs so you can see what they really look like. So If you're interested in learning more about bugs, this is going to be a good book for you. The next book that's in your backpack is this book, The Babysitter's Club, Mary Ann's Bad Luck Mystery. I have to tell you, when I saw this book in the backpack, I was so excited because when I was a kid, I loved the Babysitter's Club books. I had them all. My cousin and I used to swap books and read each other's from this series. We loved it. Well, what's cool about this is now they've taken the Babysitter's Club books and they've made them into graphic novels. So it's still a chapter book. There's chapters, like this is chapter 6, but there's tons of photos, which makes it a really interesting way to read a chapter book. Or not photos, drawings. So this book is Mary Ann's Bad Luck Mystery. So I'm wondering if you believe in bad luck. Well, Mary Ann, the main character, she didn't believe in bad luck at first. She thought that was just a story that people made up. But then she gets a chain mail letter. Now, this is probably really weird for you guys because you're not used to seeing letters in the mail. You're used to emails and texts and all that kind of stuff. But a long time ago, what people used to do is they used to get letters in the mail, and there was this thing called a chain mail letter. You open it up and it says, you need to send this same letter on to 5 more people, and if you don't do it, you'll have bad luck. Well, Mary Ann gets one of those, and she thinks, oh, that's silly, I don't believe in bad luck. But then all these really bad things start happening to her and her friends in the Babysitter's Club. So it's a little bit of a mystery because she doesn't know who sent her the letter or why all these bad things are happening. Is somebody doing these bad things, or is it really just bad luck? So this is another really great book if you like graphic novels, if you like realistic fiction, so books that are about kids just like you. This is a really good one. The next book that is in your backpack is called Soy Demasiado Grande, or I'm Too Big. This is a book that's in English and Spanish. So some of you may speak Spanish, some of you may be learning Spanish in school, and some of you may know absolutely no Spanish at all. All of you can read this book because it's in English at the top and Spanish at the bottom. And because the words are matched up like that, if you don't speak any Spanish, it's kind of a fun way to learn some new words. For example, the word grande or alta. In the very first page we see here, it says, I'm too big. Yo soy demasiado grande. Grande means big. So now that's a word you know. Next time you're at Starbucks and you order a grande, you know what that means. Or this one says, I'm too tall. Yo soy demasiado alta. Alta means tall. Or, here's another good one too. I gotta find the right page. I want big ears. Yo quiero unas orejas grandes. Orejas means ears. And grandes, we already know, means big. Big ears. So this is a fun book if you want to learn some Spanish words. It's about 2 animals. And they're kind of living out the phrase, the grass is always greener on the other side, if you know what that means. It means you always want something you can't have. So that's a really good choice for reading also. Got 2 more books to tell you about. This book is called Last Stop on Market Street. This is a picture book, and it's about a boy named CJ and his grandma. And they always go somewhere special after church. And they ride the bus to get there. There's some really cool pictures in here. I really like the pictures. It kind of almost looks like somebody cut these pieces out of paper and laid them all out. I don't know if that's how the illustrator made these pictures, but that's what it made me think of. So it's about CJ and his grandma riding the bus to go somewhere special after church. And CJ doesn't really want to go. He's kind of complaining. He's like, oh, why do I have to go here? Why do I have to do this? And he's wishing things that they don't have. Like, why don't we have a car? And his grandma teaches him a really important lesson about being grateful for the things that you do have. So this is another really great book to read in your backpack. The last book is the one I was probably most excited for. This book is called Top Secret, a handbook of codes, ciphers, and secret writing. I love puzzles. I love puzzles. I love mysteries. I love all that kind of stuff. So I was really excited to see a book that's all about codes. This book teaches us about what codes are and the history behind them. It tells us about all the different kinds of codes, like zip code or barcode. There's a barcode right on the back of this book. Morse code or Pig Latin. If you don't know Pig Latin, this book will teach you how to do it. All right? And then it tells you about the history of different codes. So, for example, one that I read when I read this book that I found really interesting is the Pigpen cipher. This is a cipher. A cipher is when you replace each letter inside a word. And it was used originally 800 years ago. And then it wasn't really used a whole lot after that. And then it was used by a group called the Freemasons. So that kind of interested me that this cipher is really old. And then I decided to make my own version of a cipher. So I'm going to tell you guys a joke. My joke is, why did the cookie go to the doctor? Here's the answer. Now, teachers, if you want to pause this, you can, because here's the cipher. So you guys can pause the video for a second if you want to see if you can figure out the answer to my joke, why did the cookie go to the doctor? If you want to know the answer, you can read the book and learn all about the Pigpen cipher. Another cipher that I found really interesting was called the Beale cipher. And listen to this, you guys. There was a man named Thomas Beale who found a treasure and he hid it somewhere. And he had a letter explaining exactly where he hid it. And he put it inside a strong box that's kind of like a safe. And he said if he ever dies, they could open it up and read this letter. So they did. And you know what? No one has ever been able to find the treasure. It's still a mystery. No one knows where it is. And it's estimated now to be worth $20 million. I had never heard that before. I thought that was really cool. A lot of people think codes are only in like spy movies, but here is a code that was actually used in real life. So this is a really good one if you're interested in that kind of thing like I am. So those are all the books that are in your backpack. I hope you guys really enjoy them. Remember, I'm going to remind you one more time, every time you take a book out of the backpack, put an X or a check on the clipboard so that we know which books kids really like out of our backpacks, and we can keep loaning those out to kids. Thank you so much for your attention. Have a great day.